Good evening, everybody. Tonight, I am going to present to you a webinar called How to Do a Life Audit. The reason why I came up with this idea to host this webinar, in talking with just several different people over the course of about a month, I've realized that there are many of us and women, as I keep mentioning over, if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, but there are many people who I know currently that are just at that point in their lives where they're looking beyond now. They already know what they've experienced, say their early 20s to mid 40s. And we're looking beyond, we're thinking like, well, what else can we do? What else is there out there? If you're going through life day to day and you're just going through the motions, this is the webinar for you. It's to give you some ideas and inspiration and to get you thinking about like, well, if you weren't doing what you're currently doing, what else would you do? And then if there is something else that you would do, what's holding you back, right? And what's preventing you from creating that change? Just the other day, somebody said to me, survive, referring to survive the night. And I stopped in that moment and I said, no, that's not what life is supposed to be about, just surviving day to day. It should be something that we wake up and we feel excited about what we're about to tackle. We feel like we're making a difference. We feel like we're serving our purpose and we're serving people. I think at the end of the day, when we serve people and we feel appreciated and our services are appreciated and there's a gratitude feeling, then the energy that we are getting from them and they're getting from us, it just makes you feel alive, right? So the key is to finding how do you create that? What are the steps that you take? I'm currently working with a client of mine and we're kind of going through this. And I was so proud of her. She is a retired teacher. So she just retired, I think a little over a year ago. Anyways, long story short, we were talking about the need for people to find connection on a day-to-day basis and to be around people and to be in situations that make you feel, you're connecting with people, you're talking with people. It's so important for mental health. In addition to just it affects our overall body. And so she actually went out and got this job and it's really cool. So anyways, I'm excited to see where that goes. And luckily she's in a situation where, she's retired, but she's able to explore now this job that she thought was kind of cool. And I think that's what we all want. We all want the opportunity and to know that things are possible. But sometimes you just need somebody to tell you this is your homework for the week, which is kind of what I did with her. Or this is the step you need to take and somebody holds you accountable. So I'm going to dive in to sharing the screen and getting on. Where is it? Let me see. 1 second, guys. Here we go. Okay, so how do you do a life audit? That's what we're going to dive into. So as I'm saying, welcome to everybody. If you haven't met me, I am Amy Blackburn, Whole Health Coaching. In a lot of ways, when I originally made the name of my business, I was at that time focusing on whole food for a whole life, meaning that when we eat whole food that is meant to be eaten by our bodies, our body finds balance and our hormones are balanced. And so therefore we feel more balanced. But honestly, since I did that, and that was probably, it was probably 4 years ago or more, I've evolved and I'm really diving into this whole mindset of more so like we can eat the healthiest foods, we can exercise regularly, and we can even meditate, right? We can even meditate day in and day out. But if we don't add things that leave us feeling alive, excited, and adding more joy and connectivity with other people into our lives, the eating, the exercising, and the meditating are really not going to have as much of an impact on your overall well-being because our life as a whole, one thing affects another thing. So we need to be able to add more things into our day that we enjoy. So sometimes it requires you to maybe perhaps leave a job. Maybe it requires you to end a relationship that you feel is no longer fulfilling or moving you, or you haven't grown together, I guess you could say. Those kind of things, right? But taking those stepping stones can be very scary for so many people, because our natural instinct is to stay where we feel safe. And what makes us feel safe? Our known situations. Well, this is how we identify ourselves with. We identify ourselves with this career, this person, and this life. And so to think of anything outside of that box is really challenging and scary for people. So that's kind of what we're going to do tonight, because life shouldn't be experienced on survival mode. It really shouldn't, because you just never know. You never know what tomorrow will bring. I know that sounds very morbid, but it's the reality. So let's dive in. What exactly is a life audit? I'm going to kind of increase that. Well, a life audit is fairly straightforward concept, and yet many of us get hung up on it simply because the thought alone can seem quite daunting, as I just discussed. Simply put, a life audit is when you take a long, detailed, and honest look at various areas in your life to assess which are and aren't helping you live to your highest potential. So things that are holding you back, right? You have this dream, you have this vision, you want to become a different person, but what's holding you back? A life audit involves becoming aware of how you want your life to align with your mission and assessing your current situation to see how it alters from this. This can involve some honest soul searching, digging deep, and often making some difficult decisions. So I will warn you that it's not for the faint-hearted, because it requires you to do things that scare you, absolutely scare you. Sometimes you're investing something financially into education. Sometimes, like I said, you might even quit your job on the whim and put everything you have into this dream of yours. You kind of have to have the guts to go about and create the life that you want. Now, by no means am I sitting here telling you go ahead and do that. It takes long thinking, processing, and really thinking things through. I am not encouraging a rash decision, but I am encouraging you that if something's tugging at your heart for quite some time, pay attention to it, basically. When carried out correctly, honestly, and steadily, life audits can be incredibly empowering and inspiring. Many of my clients have noticed improvements in their life beyond the area which they focused their attention on initially. For example, by making positive changes in your diet, your work life improves. Making a change in your relationship improves your environment, and it can all be quite powerful. So focusing on one thing might impact another thing, right? And adding more joy into your everyday life. If you add more things that just make you happier, then possibly the things that you go about thinking are so daunting won't be so daunting after all. Today, I'll be discussing areas where you might need to make some changes in your life to align with your goals and mission. I'll also discuss ways for you to improve, to implement changes easily, and what to look for as signs and signals in your outer environment that may indicate something might not be quite right in your environment. So I love this phrase, clues are all around me. And I haven't forgotten that. That was from Jen Sincerio's book, You Are a Badass at Making Money. But I always think of that now. Clues are all around me. Have any of you previously done a life audit or know anyone that who has? What was your experience? What was their experience? Let's get talking, please, and leave comments below, whoever's had life audit situation. Because that's the one thing is people really need somebody to tell them when you've reached that point where you're just like, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep going on like this. You really want somebody who tells you I was there, and don't worry, you'll get through it. And I created what I desired. It may not be easy, but it is possible. Sometimes you just need that person who I guess paves the way and shows you the way. What's my mission? So that's the first question. It's okay if you really don't know. You know, so many people go through life saying like, well, I don't know what my purpose is, because we read about this all the time. Find your passion, find your purpose. And not everybody has this like definite passion in their lives. So this question of what's my mission can sometimes be the first thing alone that causes people to stop in their tracks and be paralyzed with moving forward. Before we go any further, I will stress that doing a life audit without a clear goal or idea regarding how you want your life to align will not be effective. In order to make an effective life audit and truly maximize your chances of achieving happiness and purpose, you must first have a clear idea of how you want your life to appear and feel afterwards. So you have to have like this emotion, right? You have to like sometimes visualize. You might not know how to get there, but you have to kind of know like, this is what I want. This is the feeling that I want. Some people call it a mission. Some people call it a vocation, and others a calling. No matter what word you choose to describe it, it all comes down to the sense of purpose, fulfillment, and achievement we receive from integrating and balancing our work with our personal lives and personal goals. So when our work is in alignment with our personal life goals, meaning that like our work allows us to live this life that we've always envisioned, then that's pure alignment. And that's where we want to find our happy place, right? It might be that you see yourself cultivating a healthier lifestyle. That's great, but what does it entail? Vaguely labeling what you want greatly decreases your chance of achieving your goal. To succeed, you must dig deep. Examine your wishes, be official and detailed in your approach to how you create your plan of action. So it has to be really specific and detail oriented. For years, I have actually visualized the house that I want, and the office space in my home that I will be doing podcasts, webinars, those kind of things. And I would envision like the community, and then going out and being part of the community, and I would always feel so alive. So it's kind of like I would have this detailed, specific vision in my head. A personal mission statement will help you articulate your values and beliefs, determine your personal definition of success, and share your talents with the world. It will generate a sense of It will generate a sense of clarity and focus around what you're trying to achieve by doing a life audit. So a personal mission statement will help you articulate your values and your beliefs, determine your personal definition of success. So what is success to you? It's different for everybody. Some people really want the huge house, the fancy car, the crazy extravagant vacations, and others just want to make enough money doing what they love, right? But you have to define that. And then you want to share your talents with the world. So what are you good at? That would be the first thing. What do you do in your free time? And what are you good at? The crucial thing to note here is that everybody's mission statement will be different. No matter what field of work you're in and your personal life looks like or what your goals are, there is one key fact. You have to find your why power. So here is an article on the importance of a personal mission statement. If you're interested, reach out to me, and I can send you that link. how to make a mission statement. So first, you realize like you have to have a mission statement, your values, your beliefs. How do you want this life to look, right? What feelings and emotions come up when you think about this different life? So how do you make a mission statement? The best way to get to the bottom of your mission is to follow these steps and dedicate a small amount of time to simply write. I've been doing this a lot with my current client and my Revitalize 28-day transformation client. There are a lot of writing exercises in which you have to kind of dig deep. And her main point yesterday in my session with her was when you write it down, it allows you to really make sense of it all. Whether it's something that you want to let go of or whether it's something that you want to hold tight to and remind yourself. But when writing a mission statement, you simply need to find the time to write it down. Step 1, write down a list of what your ideal life looks like. Where do you see this life audit taking you? So write down what you see your ideal life looking like. Do you see yourself living near the coast, near the mountains? Do you see yourself working in the corporate world and like busy and on the clock? Or do you see a more laid back environment? Would you love to work 6 hours a day? Or are you someone who loves the hustle and the bustle? Those are things that you have to kind of get clear with. Do you want to be working from home? Or would you rather be out and about? Would you like your days to be very much the same? Or would you rather it be mixed up, right? Some areas to take into account when doing this include relationships, career, environment, goals and motivation, passions, and pastimes. So write down a list of what your ideal life looks like. And then areas to pay attention to would be how are your relationships on the home front as well as with friends and coworkers? What kind of career do you want? What kind of environment is important to you? For me, calm, but inspiring. Goals and motivation, passions and pastimes. Step 2, write down what your current situation looks like in each selected area. So first, you're going to write down what that dream life is. Then you're going to write down what does your current life look like. Be open, honest, and critical. Maintaining an important stance can help here, as if you were another person looking at your life and describing what they see. So you're looking at yourself and describing somebody else and what their life is all about. Then, and this is the most important part, step 3, compare the two. So first, dream life, ideal life, relationships, career, environment, goals and motivation, passions, and pastimes. So ideal life, now take those same categories and what is your current situation? Now compare the two. This is a powerful exercise to clearly show which areas of your life you need to focus on and where the biggest changes need to be made. It will help you gain clarity and maybe even show you things you weren't even aware of. So you might have great relationships with people, but your career may suck, basically. You might have like goals and motivation, but on the home front, it's not being supportive. So just look and see what area seems to be out of alignment with that ideal life. Alignment and self-awareness. The reason why clarifying your personal goals and mission statement is so important lies within the innate power we all possess to create and manifest our desires. One of my favorite quotes also, I have a lot of favorite quotes, but everything that I desire already exists. So to understand and to know that if other people are out there achieving this ideal life that you have, it's possible. It already exists. It's already yours for the taking. If you are not sure what these desires are, then how on earth do you expect to achieve them? Drawing your attention inwards and aligning your actions with your goals and core beliefs is a surefire way to start a life audit on the right track. So with your goals and your core beliefs. So for instance, if your goal is to have flexibility to go on weekend vacations on a whim, then your career needs to be in alignment with the ability to up and go, right? You need to have the financial means to do that. You need the time, the freedom of time to do that. So you have to kind of get what are your core values, as family first, freedom of time, you have to kind of get clear with those kind of things. I would say write down your top 3 values in life and then kind of go from there. Studies have shown that long-term focus and clarity produce the more effective results because the mind is ultimately an extremely powerful thing. The thoughts we have are a direct manifestation of our conditioned beliefs, habits, and existing neural pathways, which scientists have proven can be redirected by cultivating more self-awareness. So our thoughts really are powerful. Our thoughts are creating our current situation. They're affecting our beliefs, our habits, and our existing neural pathways. And you can change the neural pathways in your brain, and your thoughts can create a whole different life. So you have to start bringing awareness. Are your thoughts more negative or are they more positive? Are they Debbie Downer thoughts, or are they I can do what I set my mind to thoughts? Becoming self-aware in relation to making a life audit is crucial. Without self-awareness required to identify issues and potential threats to your mission statement that might still be playing an active role in your life, they will stay there. If you're not aware of them, they will stay. What you resist will persist. What you focus on, you create more of. What you focus more on, you create more of. So those thoughts will still stay there if you don't bring awareness to them first. And they will stay there, and any changes you might be striving for will result in failure. This is why we stay on that hamster wheel of the same life that we keep so desperately trying to get out of, but we just keep falling back because we haven't worked on ourselves and on our mindset first, and on our value and our worth, and those kind of things. And again, that's why I'm loving this Revitalized 28-Day Transformation Program with my current client, because we're working on that piece. We're working on, she is working on herself and what she views herself and values herself and her self-worth and those kind of things, because then you start to become in her thoughts and her beliefs system, and then becoming aware of it. We're working on getting it out of there, right? We all possess the capacity to heal and transform our lives. The next article I'm sharing is a really insightful piece published by the Chopra Center. It's a powerful read, and I urge you to check it out. So that's another link that, again, I'll see if I can link it down below when I post this to YouTube in the comment section. Progressive mental alignment. Psychologists have ascertained the benefits of what they call progressive mental alignment, PMA, progressive mental alignment, for achieving goals and making large life changes. Life audits fall into this category of large life changes. And while intelligent decision-making and awareness have always been known to affect the level of life satisfaction and we achieve. The science behind PMA examines the subconscious inhibitors we all possess in our brains, which prevent large-scale, long-term changes from taking permanent effect. So let me repeat that. The science behind PMA examines the subconscious inhibitors we all possess in our brains. And pretty much that's what's holding us back. So there's so much stuff that I've been reading about lately that a lot of it comes from childhood and what we learned through just simply observing, right? Our thoughts about money, our thoughts about relationship, our thoughts about education and college. It's kind of what we would have observed. Did our parents, show struggle with money, or did they show making money was easy for them? That's going to affect how you view money. Were your parents divorced, or were they happily married, or were they married but very struggled in the marriage? All of that gets into your subconscious, and it puts you into this, again, that hamster cycle, where we're just running around in circles and circles until we really deal with what we made as the truth from our childhood. Therefore, if something is mentally getting in the way of achieving your goals, PMA will help you make changes to realign with beliefs and thought patterns that will help you alter this. Progressing in alignment with your clear mental and emotional goals is far more beneficial than progressing blindly simply because you feel you should be. We can think of this in terms of life auditing and use it as we go forward with the process. Core Values 101. Before embarking on any big life decision or change, core values must be clarified. It's important to clarify core values in order to ensure that any change or decision made is in alignment with your core values to maximize success. What do you value most in life? Okay, get really real with that. Because if something, a career or something is not in alignment with that, at some point you're going to break. And you're going to find possibly some resentment. Core values are the fundamental beliefs by which we live our lives. They dictate our behaviors, decisions, and actions. And whether consciously or unconsciously, they are, in essence, our understanding of the difference between what is right and what is wrong. In order to audit your life to a more positive place of authenticity and personal fulfillment, it's crucial to identify core values. No positive change in your life will be lasting if it does not align with your core values. I'd like you to think of 3 people in your life who have influenced the way you see the world. This can be starting points to identify some core values. So identify 3 people who have influenced the way you see your world. And write that down. 3 people who had a major influence on how you see the world. So first, we've said our ideal life. Then we've said our current life. How do those differ? What area do you need to focus on now that's really out of alignment with that ideal life? You can't, every area is not going to be like boom, 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 I'm taking care of it. Find the 1 to 2 areas that you can do something about it today, right? Then after you do that, you're going to pick 3 people who have shown the most influence on how you view the world, and write that down. You can comment below or simply make a personal note. There's no requirement to share. How to recognize your core values. So some people are like, okay, yeah, you're talking about core values, but like, what are they? What defines a core value? When we don't honor our core values, our mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual state, which is all needed for health and wellness, is where we experience discomfort. Sometimes this can be obvious, the uncomfortable feeling of knowing some information about a friend's cheating partner, for example, is an obvious state of an unease which stems from an act we perceive as negative and might suggest that honesty and integrity are high on your list of core values. So you know your best friend's partner is cheating on them, and you're a very honest and person with a lot of integrity. What do you do, right? Because those are your core values: honesty, integrity. Then you're kind of going like, okay, so if your core values are truly strong, you are going to act in alignment. with what's in the best decision based on your core values. And if you don't, you're going to always have that feeling of stress. In other times, it might not be so obvious. Things like feeling of dis-ease about other people's actions, which you may not be able to justify or explain, or even some unconscious habits you've picked up that deep down you know don't make you feel good. But your clarity on the matter is too blurred for you to see why. So you have that feeling like you know something's just not right and you shouldn't be doing this, but you haven't had like full clarity on that core value. Examples of core values can include, but are not limited to, the following. Health and well-being. Is health up there as your number one priority? Taking care of yourself. When your health and well-being is at the core of your personal values, you are more likely to make healthier decisions regarding food, drink, and exercise, mental stimulation, downtime, and overall physical and mental health. So if one of your top 3 core values is health, then a lot of the decisions that you're making in life you're going to ask, does this fall in line with me living a healthy life? Family and relationships. People who value family over other aspects of their lives are likely to thrive best in a positive home environment and make decisions based around how they view their family and personal life will be impacted. So family might be a big core value of yours. Creativity. If you're a creative person, then you will undoubtedly inhabit an important place among your day-to-day pursuits. Cultivating creativity and finding new ways to express yourself will rank very high on your agenda. So we've talked about health and well-being, relationships and family, creativity, teamwork. In a business or work environment, having a core value that places the importance of teamwork above other aspects of the work environment will mean that the way you choose to conduct your business will revolve around the people and team you surround yourself with. The next step is to write your list of core values. Don't compare it to anyone else. Turn inward and do the work. So write down, like I said, I think 3 is a good thing, and rank them in order of 1, 2, 3, so that you can get an idea of like, when it all comes down to things, what are your top 3 core values? That from that day on, every decision you make in life are going to be based on how do they fall within your core values. Identifying wants versus needs. This is a commonly encountered theme which many people struggle to honestly identify. Your wants over your needs. Ask yourself the following questions. What do I need to be happy? The question will almost always allow you to align closer to your core values. What do I need to be happy? Personally, I need proper rest and recharging time. That's crucial. I need downtime. I cannot work and hustle and bustle around the clock. I need time in which because I'm an introvert. So quiet, peaceful, recharging time is a must, because then that provides me energy to get through my daily life. But what is something you need to be happy? What do I think I need? What do I think I need to be happy? These things usually prove to be wants disguised as needs. So what do I think I need to be happy? I'm going to throw out there in my world, I need a camper, right? Because my desire to travel all over with our dogs and just go and explore, a camper would allow me to do that, right? But is that a need? No, that's a want. That would make me happy, but it's not a need. Are there things that I want which can be done without, as I just was talking about my own situation. What are these things? So are there things that I want which can be done without? What are these things? Be honest and open with yourself about these needs. A life audit won't work unless you get used to dealing with some of the uncomfortable stuff it can bring up. Yeah, my friend who wrote the letter in this exercise in my revitalized 28-day program, our client, she said it was hard because it brings up a lot of stuff. It gets you thinking, right? And sometimes we live in such denial about the life that we're living day to day. And I'm not saying this is a general statement. Oftentimes we push things in the back of our head and we are on survival mode. And then when we actually sit down and we write it out, we go, man, I am not living this ideal life that I've always imagined. Now, with that being said, you should be grateful because with more gratitude, things come your way. I truly believe in that. But sometimes we need to get real and say, like, I'm not living life, I'm surviving life. There are some correlations between needs and core values. The main way to distinguish between them, as author of the article below explains, is that needs are generally more immediate and feeling than values. This means that our day-to-day needs fluctuate on a daily basis, and our values generally remain the same over time. So needs can change, they can fluctuate. Values really don't. Things that you truly value are going to remain very much at your core values, right? Analyze your relationships. Relationships are a commonly occurring theme of people's lists and core values that may need to be reevaluated during a life audit. No matter how big or small a role people play in your life, it's important to take adequate time to consider the quality of your relationships when seeking to make personal changes. And again, this is something that we've been focusing a lot on with any client that goes through the Revitalized 28-Day Transformation Program. We talk a lot about connectivity and relationships. The nature of relationships can mean that sometimes the conversations surrounding your life audit and any changes that might need to be made can feel a little awkward or even cause some pain to surface. As much as you can change your own beliefs, habits, and everyday practices to suit your new lifestyle, the fact remains that you cannot change another person's opinion or image. This is important to remember. You cannot change other people. You can change your own habits and your own thoughts and your own self-worth and self-confidence. And in situations, you can hope that you grow together, right? That each of you are growing in the same, even though you want to embody your own unique needs, I guess you could say, but your own unique traits and needs and characteristics and stuff like that, your individuality, you do want to have a place where both of you are growing, friendships, marriages, partners, those kind of things. The nature of relationships can mean that sometimes it's conversation including your audit and changes that might need to be made, like we just said, to feel a little awkward. You might need to have those awkward conversations. To analyze your current relationships, try to objectively look at your relationships with family, with certain friends or friend groups, and with significant others. So your immediate family, general family in general, your significant others, and then friends or group of friends. Take into account the dialogue and general sense of positivity or negativity you receive from these interactions. Note if these relationships are taking you closer to your core values or not. So are the people you're surrounding yourself with on a regular basis, drawing you to your core values where you will feel in alignment and at balance, and at ease, to be quite honest, or are they pulling you further away? One vital thing to any successful relationship is an underlying agreement or similarity of some key core values. If these are not present, it may be time to make some changes in the relationship. So you must have some core values that are very similar. Here is a really insightful article which speaks about the patterns in relationships we tend to repeat over time, being as direct result of the childhood care we received, as I touched on. A lot of our relationships and the way we interact and our, what we keep being drawn to are based on, if you've read any of Jen Sincero's books, she calls it The Little Prince. And the little prince in the back of our conscious mind that's causing us to make these choices and these decisions over and over and over are the prince has all the information from our observations in childhood. So if we saw our parents, like I said, struggling with, you have to work hard to get more money. And I personally saw my dad working all the time. So what did that do with me? Well, I have to work all the time and feel stressed and stuff in order to make a lot of money. So what did I do? I think in the back of my head, I was like, well, I don't want to be like that. So I had kind of associated with, if I don't want to be constantly stressed and working constantly, then I have to accept that I'm going to make less money. That's not necessarily the case, but it's taking time to change that belief that's so buried into my brain, right? And that's preventing me from moving forward with financial goals. Identify your conditioned patterns. No matter if it's a complete life audit you are trying to achieve or seeking to make a few simple changes to improve your quality of life, it's vital that you identify any conditioned patterns in your behavior or thought patterns that may be hindering your progress, such as what I just used in my own life. Conditioned beliefs refer to the subconscious beliefs and attitudes that we form as young children, generally between the ages of 0 and 6. These patterns form as a direct result of our immediate environment, the people we come into contact with, and the attitudes of parents and caregivers as we grow up. Part of identifying core values is to identify these thought patterns and to acknowledge the way the impact they have had upon our actions and current life situations. No matter what the goal, conditioned beliefs can be some of the most hindering obstacles we will encounter as we strive to better our lives. They are difficult because they can often be difficult to identify. And when we do, it's often even more difficult to accept them. It can help to contemplate specific habits, patterns, or behaviors you feel you may have inherited from a young age. Once you've identified them, it's time to separate yourself from them. They are not yours, and you have no obligation to follow them. It's simply a matter of changing habits. So identify any of those negative thought patterns that you may have encountered as a child, right? They are not your truth. And that's what's important to remember. They are not the truth. And so I would encourage you, write it down, tear it up, throw it away. So take a moment maybe to sit down and kind of think about some major, surrounding your career, surrounding relationships, surrounding money, right? Money. When people say money doesn't bring you happiness, money allows you to do things that provide you happiness. So there are certain thoughts around money that people need to tear up and think back, why do you feel that way about money, and tear it up. So anything, anything that you feel is holding you back from achieving these goals that you so desire, because what if it exists, you can have it too, right? Everything you desire already exists. And if somebody is already doing that thing that you truly want to be doing, it's possible, right? Something here is holding you back. And that's what's important to acknowledge now. Okay, so you gotta check your environment. Another important element of our daily lives, which impacts our mental and physical health more than we realize, is our environment. Things like the place you live, the space you sleep in, the area you work in, and even the quality of the light, air, and sound in these places can influence your perception of life. Absolutely. You've got to look, check and see, like, what does a place make you feel? What do the people make you feel? Are you alive? Are you inspired? Are you motivated? Or do you feel like this dark cloud, right? Is where you live. Do you walk into where you live and you go like, I love my place? And if you can't change the place where you live, what can you do to it to make you love it more, right? How can you decorate it and add a little touch here and there to make you feel like, I like it, right? Because that can all influence your perception of life. During your life auditing, thinking about how these various elements of your current and living environment might be impacting the problems you've identified is key to beginning the process of changing them. Ask yourself these questions. Is your house cluttered? Science has proven that cluttered and messy living spaces actually significantly affect our happiness, clarity, and anxiety levels. Sorry, I got a little tongue-tied there. So science has proven that cluttered and messy living spaces actually significantly affect our happiness, clarity, and anxiety levels. Just the other day, I went through and I got rid of clutter on tops of like desks, countertops, because it provided me more of like, I can breathe and I can focus better, especially for those of you that are working from home all day long. That is so important. Is your home environment bright or dark, large or small? These factors can also impact our overall mentality when we get home after a long day. The space we consider our home is a vital element of how we form our personal internal landscapes. If you're aware that something in your environment needs changing, then it's worth taking time to do so, even if it means investing a little more time, money, or effort than you've been accustomed to, because you want to come home, you want to feel, and it can be something as easy like if you don't have a big budget, and your couch just seems kind of dirty, like our, maybe you get a slip cover, right? Maybe you add a plant to the area. For me, diffusing essential oils is key. We live in a really small little apartment currently. So less stuff is what makes me feel at my best. But some people love trinkets or little things that reminded them of all their life travels and stuff. It just depends on your personal needs. But you want to make it where you come home and you love it, right? And it feels welcoming, and it just adds to your perception of life. Do a spring cleaning, donate unworn clothes to charity, or organize a clothes swap and with some friends who may be seeking to do similar clear outs. The possibilities are endless, and you'll probably feel all the better for getting a little creative with it. Pretty much every year I go through, if I haven't worn it this year, Goodwill, good riddance. And it does make a difference. Okay, so home environment. Look at your home environment. Career change, perhaps. This is the scary one, right? Especially if you're in your mid-40s, because you're starting to realize that it's not going to be so easy to just jump ships and get another job at your age. In your 20s and your early 30s, the world is yours for the taking. And then once you reach that mid-40s or older, suddenly you're not as, what do you call it? I don't want to say employable, but they're seeing like, is this person going to stay with us for a long time? Perhaps you have too much experience. Perhaps they're looking for somebody who will grow with the company for 30 years, right? Although that doesn't happen this day and age, let's be real, loyalty and those kind of things is very slim. But career change can be some of the scariest things for a lot of people. Part of our everyday lives, which can prove the most difficult to alter, can come in the form of negative workspaces. Identify whether the problem lies in your actual job or simply in the environment in which you do it every day, can help you clarify this somewhat. So is it the job? Is it the career? Or is it just where you work, right? So you might actually still love being, let me think of something, an esthetician. You might still love that, but because of the people that you're surrounded by, you don't really connect with, and you're not really feeling the energy, then you start to define that, well, I hate this job now, when really it's not the job, but it's just finding the right place for you. So kind of think that through, right? If you've identified your career as an area which causes needless stress and anxiety for you, and not the space in which you work every day, then challenge yourself to tackle these issues head on by analyzing the potential for a change. Do you have to stay in the office? Can you work from home? Is it possible to find a new position in a similar field? Do you have the resources and desire to upskill and change directions completely? So do you have the resources, AKA money, to do the educational or the certifications and those kind of things to totally upskill and change your career completely? Those are things to consider. Remember that career changes do not mean you have failed, and they do not make you any less skilled. It actually reflects positively on your ability to recognize stressors and parts of your life that are out of alignment with your core values. Ultimately, something which strengthens your value as an employee, as you're more likely to perform well at a job that you're passionate about. So when I've posted some stuff recently about this, let's be real, people are not staying at their same jobs oftentimes longer than 2 years at a time this day and age. There's very little loyalty from, I feel, an employer and employee. It's just kind of the way it is this day and age. And when people are strong enough to make that choice of like, this is not how I want to live, this is not where I want to settle and what I want to settle for, actually, rather than looking at them as flaky or as a quitter, it's quite the opposite. It shows their strength and their capability and their confidence. And like we were just discussing, would you rather an employee, that is less confident, less taking risks, less capable of doing what it takes, and just settling, right? Are they going to be motivated? Is the morale in the workplace going to be great? Or would you rather have somebody continue to look for that place? Because once they find that place where they feel passion, motivation, inspiration, they are going to help your business excel. So I think we need to step back and we need to look at these employees perhaps. And some people might be going through like, they just don't want to work, right? But others who are very strong and very capable, I think we need to look at it as if they find that right place, they are going to help your place excel. And that takes a lot of strength from a person to be willing to stand up and say, this is not what I want. This is not for me. And I am willing to do what it takes to find that, right? So let's applaud people who do that. Why career changes are good for us, and that's an article. And so I might actually post that because I think a lot of us in our mid-40s are going through this. How to determine if you should make a career change. Even with these facts and statistics, it's normal to have some doubts about uprooting everything you've worked hard for. Asking yourself questions like these can help if you're a little uncertain about the job versus work environment issue. Does my current job align with my core values and allow me to feel a true sense of fulfillment? So if one of your core values is freedom of time, but your job requires you 6 days a week, right? And it doesn't allow that. It does not allow you to take a 3 or 4 day trip, very easily. A school teacher, let's use that as an example. During the school year, she can't do that, right? Or he. And so if that is your number one core value, freedom of time, teaching would not make sense on some level, but then you get your 3 months off in the summer. So I don't know, but good example, just trying to find an example. Does my current workspace cause me stress and anxiety just by thinking about it? How can I make changes to rectify this? Am I using my passions and hobbies in my work? Could I orchestrate a way to integrate them into my work life? So can you find ways to work your passions into your work life, right? So yeah, you just have to think about that. Does my career fall in alignment with my core values? Is the workspace what's causing me anxiety? Not the career, but the workspace. How can I make changes to rectify this? Am I using my passions and hobbies in my work? Could I orchestrate a way to integrate them into my work life? And with this day and age, with developing your own businesses via online, I think the sky's the limit in this area. Absolutely the limit. You just have to do a lot of thinking, brainstorming, researching. Is it easy? No, but it is, sky's the limit. It's understandable that career changes are among the life shifts which may not be as straightforward as others. It helps to consider the bigger picture and plan ahead. If it feels overwhelming, searching courses or paths of generating income that align with your core values and passions is a great place to start. One really important thing to note, don't close yourself off to possibilities. Don't close yourself off to possibilities. If the career question is still causing you stress, try relaxing into the possibility that you really could do anything. That's where I keep going back to that. What I desire already exists. Ask yourself the age-old question. What would you do if money wasn't an option? Believe yourself capable of starting and achieving anything, and more than likely, it will succeed. So what would you be doing if money was not an issue, right? What would you spend your day-to-day life doing? The bottom line is that getting honest with ourselves about our current situation and work environment is the first step to making any changes. And yes, another good article. Align with positive spiritual and mental health. Now, when you are in that stage of like you're questioning your career, you're questioning your life, I'm going to tell you this is really, really, really important in helping you deal with that. I'm not going to tell people what to do, but for me personally, like leaning in on faith and trust and knowing that something more powerful than me has a plan and it has my best interest in mind has been extremely helpful this past year in particular. As well as aligning with core beliefs, values, and passions, it's vital when making a life audit that you prioritize positive physical and mental health practices during and after your life audit. After all, without health and well-being, any life changes and experiences will seem less vibrant than they could be if we aren't experiencing them with a full bill of mental and physical health. Something that helps to consider all the things you could be achieving and all the creativity, passion, mental energy you could be pushing towards achieving your goals if only your mind and body were clear and balanced enough to let the energy flow that way. So as I was telling you, one of my biggest core values is rest and recharging because I need the energy. Having dealt with adrenal fatigue probably about 3 times, you're not going to have the motivation and the inspiration to tackle those dreams and those desires and to take the steps and to network and do all that because you don't have the energy. You have brain fog, you have extreme exhaustion, you're not thinking clearly. And so until you really get your health under, as probably a first step, then you're really not going to be able to just like fathom the thought of career change, environment change, or any of that. It's just too daunting of a task when you don't have the energy, right? Or the brain health. So you really have to kind of try to eat healthier, sleep better. I'm all about gut health, which to me is the first step in order to improve your brain and immune system health. But you need to do those things before you can really tackle a new life, so to speak. You might find that if health and well-being are high up on your list of core values and you aren't heeding this, your mind and body may be exposed to habits and things that negatively impact them. Deciding on a course of action to rectify this will be key to your life audit, as we just talked about. The good news is that almost all life audits involve improving some areas of health and well-being that are currently not being attended to. As you're going through the typical areas of your life audit, ask yourself how each one makes you feel and how it impacts your mental and physical health. It should be a big factor in many of your decisions. Meditation, how it can help. Meditation is not a new phenomenon. In fact, the fascinating thing about it is that it's a centuries-old method of silencing the mind and tuning into emotions and the present moment. It's only since the Western world got wind of it in the late 20th century that studies began to investigate the benefits of engaging in regular meditation on both mind and body. Sometimes meditation might lead us to realize that we should make a life audit. Some people may only begin meditation as a means of making some changes, and many of us start meditating with the intent of solving some mental chatter that writing lists and planning just won't stop. So I think it's for a lot of people. It's for bringing clarity. It's just like our brains, right? And especially with, technology, everything's faster this day and age, that I don't even know if we can even stand ourselves, because we are so used to like next thing, that to sit down and even like ourselves is very difficult, because to spend time alone and with ourselves means we have to really get clear with how we think and who we are. But that has been one of the best things for me personally, because I definitely fall on that line of negative self-talk, negative whining, complaining, and this and that. And when I get real with myself and silence myself and hear what's going on in my head, it's not always pleasant. But it led me to a path of like being aware and starting to change those thoughts, and learning to like myself, right? And certain thoughts that I had a couple of years ago about how people may have perceived me, I'm learning to let go of that, right? And actually, so it's like sometimes I think a lot of people don't even like to be alone with themselves, because then they have to face certain negative self patterns. But it's the best thing you can do. A life audit is designed to increase your overall sense of self-aware happiness and well-being, and meditation fits nicely into this equation. The following articles by Forbes examines the effects of meditation on a control group of working people who practice loving kindness meditation over a 7-week period. Have you ever tried meditation, and how do you feel about it? So again, if you would like that article from Forbes, message me, I'll get you that link. Fitness and health, it's all connected. It's not uncommon to find a large portion of your life audit revolves around increasing your fitness level or optimizing your health. Know that there's very little that won't be affected by improving this area of your life. Here's how to make it work for you. Make fitness a priority, but don't get too obsessed. You might find that you go through phases of being dedicated to a fitness plan and then fall off the bandwagon once in a while. This is okay, and it's normal. It's your body's way of saying slow down, rest, recharge. Set small, achievable fitness goals. To combat the periodic spurts of fitness focus, set yourself small, achievable goals. Chances are you're going to need your energy to spend elsewhere in your life while you're on a life audit quest. So it wouldn't do to, sorry, I'm having, so it just doesn't make sense to put all your energy into your fitness routine, because you're going to need a lot of that energy, like we were talking about, to just be able to handle, network with people, calling people, meeting up with people, learning a new skill, studying, all those kind of things. So 10 to 15 minutes a day of whatever activity brings you joy and is in alignment with your lifestyle goals and circumstances will give you much more happiness and satisfaction than pushing yourself for 2 hours in an unhealthy activity and environment you feel anxious just thinking about it. So you have to find what you like to do. Just move your body. Look at all the cultures in the world where they're not going to these gyms and doing this and doing, but they walk everywhere. They interact with each other. And there's more of a connectivity, but they're healthier, right? If you haven't already set out to maximize your fitness and health as part of your life audit, I strongly recommend taking into consideration. It doesn't have to be a huge change. Just know that becoming a little more aware of how you move your total body and where you take it will ultimately increase your chances of changing your life and will boost the effects of the changes you make elsewhere. So I got a little stumbled with my words there. Fitness will improve other areas of your life. The more blood flow you get, the stronger your muscles, the stronger your brain is a muscle, blood flow, heart health, all that kind of stuff will affect other areas of your life. So just adding a little bit of fitness. You don't need to do 2 hours aggressively. If you love that, it makes you feel alive, go for it. If you hate it, don't feel like you need to do it, because that's what you do to be fit. It's fine what works for you. Digital rest, right? In our modern age of digital obsession, it can be difficult to see the true impact our online hours are having on our happiness. If you're among the 2.56 billion people, yes, billion, who use both social media, then it's highly likely you encountered the addictive and damaging nature of being constantly online that impacts society today. Yes, I have. There's no hiding from it. Our online life has now become almost synonymous with our day-to-day lives. With couples staring at screens together rather than at each other, kids stuck inside playing video and online games rather than playing outside and moving their bodies, or playing with other kids, right? Which again, connectivity, mental growth, emotional growth. We're seeing so many stunted things happening now due to this. It's very rare of getting stuck in a non-existent, it's this very image of getting stuck in a non-existent reality that plays into our lives needing a reboot, and possibly even has to do with why you find yourself here today. In fact, doing a digital detox has been linked to such things as increased productivity, you think? Increased positivity, you think? We're not comparing ourselves anymore. Better, more regulated sleep patterns, improved relationships. Therefore, it's definitely something you should reconsider when taking the initiative to do a life audit. So I'll repeat those in a less sarcastic way. Digital detox can benefit you in the following ways: increased productivity, increased positivity, better, more regulated sleep patterns, and sleep is huge when it comes to health and hormones. Improved relationships, because we're talking face to face and not screen time. Okay. How do you digital detox? There are many ways to do a digital detox, and yet be aware that they may not all fit into your new life audit plan. For instance, if you work online or use social media as part of your business or marketing strategies, it can be difficult to avoid the necessity of online hours. Here is where I want to clarify something. Social media can be very beneficial when used in the right ways. In order to determine how best to fit social media into your new life plan, it's helpful to assess why, when, and how to use it. Do you check your phone first thing in the morning? Do you find yourself mindlessly scrolling social media with no agenda whatsoever? Are there certain people you only contact through social media? If so, could you possibly ask them to use another messaging platform so you can lower your usage? Are you drawn back to your smartphone or laptop whenever you get bored? Does your social media lower your productivity? Are there any positive emotions generated from being online? Now that you've asked yourself these questions, here's an amazing link which outlines some of the ways periodically detoxing from social media. Do you have any experience with detoxing from social media? Any tips you'd like to recommend? Leave a comment below. We need it, folks. We need it. Decluttering, as we talked about already, clearing your space. Some people define the very act of life auditing as decluttering your life. So it makes sense to clean up your physical environment as well as your mental space. If your home and everyday surroundings are messy, cluttered, and strewn with possessions, items, clothes that you don't regularly use, then it might be time to do a little clear out and throw away the skin of previous lives and selves that you don't need hanging around. So you want to think of it like you're removing layers of yourself that you no longer need. They have no service to you. If your home and everyday surroundings are, just said that, it makes sense when you think about it. The more stuff that's hanging around, the more likely you are to go back and try it on. Removing the temptation of this from your life and decluttering your space is a really effective means of starting a life audit, kind of letting go of your past, right? And accepting that you're a different person now, and you're okay with that, and you're ready to become this person that you've always desired to be. Tips for this: be brutal. It is something you will not wear in the next month unless it's a seasonal object. Get rid of it. Then do another cleanse next season. If something you might wear on a special occasion, but have no such special occasion in the coming months to wear it to, get rid of it. If it's something you haven't used in the past 6 months, get rid of it. If it's something that has been sentimental value, specific memories associated with it, but isn't really useful or practical, get rid of it. I've thrown out books, like picture albums, tons, because again, you looked at it only when you moved, right? This can be a challenging one, but unless the value is irreplaceable, consider parting ways with it. And so again, this is not to say your grandmother's ring or a special necklace, or like a very special picture, because I kept a few. But if it's just like, oh, this little inklet from this trip or whatever, you don't need it, right? Um, Decluttering helps to create a clearer, more relaxing, and spacious home environment for you to begin formulating the life you've always dreamed of. This can be aided by the likes of diffusing essential oils and using scented candles. Yes, oils. Candles are a little bit more toxic. Decide on an action plan. Once you've established a firm understanding of your core values, what needs to be changed in your life, and faced some of the underlying root causes of existing problems, it's time to make an action plan. This can take a little while. You can be stumbling through things for months, right? But when you lean on meditation and you lean a little bit on the spiritual side, you learn to calm and relax and trust and look for clues all around and those kind of things that allow you to create this little plan step by step. It's amazing how it works once you're ready to allow that to happen in your life. And that's a whole nother subject. But when you're ready and you're truly ready and you're sending out that energy and that message to the world that you're ready, you will kind of be amazed how little things start coming into your hands. This can be tailored to suit you in many different ways. Most people find it easier to keep it as simple as possible. The key to a good action plan is to be realistic, yet honest and open with your goals. You've already written down how your ideal life playing out. So you already wrote down what does your ideal life look like. So now it's time to put your plan into action. Okay, action plan. Breaking down your goals into categories is a good way to proceed here. For example, work goals, negotiate a promotion, relationship goals, spend more time with parents, meet up with friends more during the day instead of nights out. Health goals, spend 1 hour being physically active 3 times a week. So let's go over this. Breaking down your goals into categories is a good way to proceed here. So think about your ideal life. What does your house, what kind of home life do you want? Do you even want to own a home? Do you even want a big house? You might just want a little bungalow, or you might just want to be a renter your whole life. But what is ideal for you? Okay. Then how do you want to spend your day? What kind of job do you see yourself doing that fits in to that ideal life, right? So you're working at your work goals, negotiate promotion would be an example of breaking it down. Relationship goals, I want to meet up with my friends during the day rather than going out at night. Health goals, I'm planning on spending 1 hour 3 times a week on fitness. Use what you have identified as your core values, beliefs, existing resources, and overall goals to determine a clear course of action. Try the stop, start, more of, less of formula. This very practical and effective life auditing tool is a great way to bluntly assess what you need to do and how you need to do it. Here's an example. Stop procrastinating and overanalyzing situations. So this is going to be the stop, start, more of, less of. So stop procrastinating and overanalyzing. Start exercising every day for 20 minutes. Make more time for loved ones. Spend less time eating out. This basic life audit plan is simple, structured, to the point, and easy to follow. It doesn't get to the root of existing problems, but that's why the action plan is undertaken. After the core values and underlying truths have been established, it comes down to the simple task of making small changes every single day and align your decisions to meet your mission. And that's pretty much the webinar. So it's not going to happen overnight. So stay on your toes. There are many ways that you can start on the path of auditing your life today. And it's ultimately a very personal path that only you can clearly define. What works for one person may not work for another. It's important to remain self-aware and able to honestly identify issues when they arise in your life examination and action plan. It's time to part ways. However, here, it's time to part, this is over basically. And here are some final tips. Be consistent. If you plan on achieving change, you must consistently follow through on these plans. This means not skipping over elements of your action plan or half-heartedly completing part of what you wish to achieve. Stay the course because you will be so tempted to let go of the action steps it takes to move forward and fall right back into your comfort zone of what you already know is it's all about, right? And you already know just say that you're not really going to be moving in a different direction if you stay in this situation. So when you find yourself in a moment going like, well, this isn't that bad after all, stay the course. That's what you have to do because if you've been doing this for just say 10 years, that you've been having moments that you loved what you were doing and then moments where you're like, I should be doing more. Why am I not doing more? If after about 10 years, this is now time that you have to stay the course. So be consistent, be honest. This follows the rest, being honest and open with yourself about what it is you want to achieve, the practical resources available to you to do so, and the belief and drive you wish to cultivate is crucial if you are to see any lasting change. So again, be honest. Being honest and open with yourself about what it is you want to achieve, the practical resources available to you to do so, and the belief and drive you wish to cultivate is crucial if you want to see any lasting change. Don't lose heart. If something goes wrong, and it will, it's vital that you don't give up. Merely use the setback as a means to propel you forward and keep striving toward the goals you know you're capable of achieving. Everything you desire already exists. Be self-aware and self-motivating. Noticing when you begin to slack on your goals, or if you have let one aspect of your goals slide, there's nothing quite as empowering as motivating yourself to get back on track. That's almost it for me today. And it's just to start something really good. I'm going through this right now, you guys. I'm in the process. And when I finally decided that I'm ready, and that's what I told my client yesterday, for whatever reason, I envisioned in my head, I'm ready for change finally. And when I kind of finally came to that realization and that conclusion, things that were driving me insane, and the feelings of urgency for me to figure everything out and nothing was going my way and those kind of things suddenly disappeared and I felt lighter. And then I felt more excited and I was more open. My energy was more open to receiving, I guess. And little things started like happening. I had no desire to be a Pilates teacher trainer a year ago. I couldn't even tell you how I became aware of Pilates or why. But it's just been this little piece to this path that's making sense for this and this and this and this. That when you suddenly align your energy with being open to receiving signals and signs and all those kind of things, pay attention to that stuff because you will get your answers and you'll calm down about things. So thank you for joining me. I'm going to stop the screen share. I hope you got something out of it. These webinars tend to be kind of long. So if you stopped watching it prior to this, I hope that you came back and finished watching it because it's just really good, valuable information. But going through a life change is not easy. It's scary. Just know you're not alone. But the best thing you can do is be proactive, and to sit in some quiet time with yourself and get really real with what it is that you want. And don't feel guilty. It's your life. It's your one life. And it's yours to go after what you want and not live the life that everybody makes you think you should be living. So I'm going to leave you with that tonight. Have a wonderful Sunday evening and check it out. Bye, guys.